Good evening, Fernwood. It's your TV pal Neil, and it's time for some more late night variety madness with another episode of Fernwood Tonight. If you're just seeing my face for the first time, this is a reaction show where we watch the show together and then we talk about it because people like to talk and we are people and we like to talk. And if that sounds like it's your bag, then please stick around. Also, if you want to help this channel grow, then please check out our Patreon and subscribe there. You can get early access to uncut episodes, monthly updates, and more things when I figure out what those things are going to be. Today we are watching episode 61 from September 26, 1977. This is the final week of Fernwood Tonight. Let's find out what happened last Friday. Barth Gimble offered his services as a guest at your party for only $40, $1977. Then Mr. Harry Shearer of the Tom Snyder Appreciation Society of Fernwood shows up to defend Tom Snyder. We get a visit from the Fernwood Female All-Stars, a basketball team, and that sets Jerry off on a tangent about how he believes all sports are fixed, and he goes on and on and on. Barth then takes center stage with accompaniment from Tommy Marinucci of the Mirthmakers and sings a song about noses. We close the show with Tom and Jerry burying the hatchet in general, as well as burying the hatchet with Tom Snyder, and then the Fernwood Female All-Stars bounce some balls. And everyone, that's the silliness of last Friday's show, so let's get this final week going.
Tonight from Fernwood, Fernwood Tonight, 30 minutes of very remarkable entertainment coming to you almost live with your host for tonight, Mr. Barth Gimble. Tonight, Barth's guest will be Bob and Joanne Hurlick, who bring to life an art form that may die tonight. Nelson Phipps, who passes French water. Mr. Michael Curlin, who spent time under the First Lady. And Happy Kine and the Mirthmakers. And me, I'm Jerry Hubbard. And now here's your host and mine, Mr. Barth Gimble.
Thank you very, very much. Wow, thank you. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to FT. I'm Barth Gimble, Fernwood Tonight. And I can't thank you people enough, really, for the wonderful mail you keep sending me. I'd like to read more of it on the air, but it seems that since we've started doing that, reading it on the air, more and more letters are including the little phrase, please don't read this on the air. And at the same time, these people are asking me questions about me and my show, and I'm sure they expect answers. Well, I have to be honest with you, I'm a little too busy to be sitting at the typewriter all day, and besides, our typewriter here at WZAZ Broadcast Square is usually being used by the girls up in accounts receivable. So I'm going to respect your wishes in not reading your letters on the air, and at the same time, get some of these questions out of the way, okay? On this first one here, can't redo the question, but answer is quite simply, White Plains, New York, but they may have moved. It was years ago, okay? Move on to another. These are all beautiful. Again, good question. The answer is if I parted it on the other side, it would make my ears look big. All right? We did that one, okay? These are all kind of interesting. Wish I could read these, but I... Okay, this is the woman who met me in the market the other day. Shall remain nameless, as shall her question. The answer is, quite simply, twice a week. Here we go. This next one is a little more involved, but here goes. Believe it or not, it is actually cheaper, with all the royalties and everything, to have the theme song played by them rather than get it off a record, okay? Fine. I'd probably sign that one, Barth Gimble. Sincerely, Barth Gimble. Okay, moving along. We have one more letter here, I think. Here's one that really threw me for a loop. This is one I decided not to read on the air, but I'll try to answer it anyway. Here it goes. I sent that check more than 2 months ago, okay? The problem must be at your mailroom. Now, if you persist in sending me mail like this, I'm going to take legal action and call the Better Business Bureau, all right? That out of the way. And lastly, Oh, I remember this one. This is a young girl up at North Fernwood Junior High who wrote me what, I don't know, a note that I think is so darn charming. It really deserves to be read on the air. I think it would give a kind of a warm smile to everyone. But she asked me not to, and I simply have to answer it without reading it. Forgive me. I wish we could. It's a darling letter, though. But quite simply, Donna, sweetheart, I was 13, and it was great. Okay? That's great. What did I tell you?
Are they applauding because I came in and sat down, or because you're done talking? I don't know which, but you're not the only one who got some letters. I got one letter, and it's really cute. I think you got a letter from her, too, a girl named Donna up in North Fernwood Junior High School.
Right, she asked me a very personal question.
Well, she is so precious. She sent me a letter, and she asked, Dear Jerry, how old were you when you first learned to ride a bicycle, and how did it feel? Honey, I was 13, and it felt great. What did she ask you?
Mine was a Carbon. What's yours?
Oh, no, mine appears to be the original. Listen, I love the way you abbreviate everything. BG, Just call me JH, Jerry Hubbard, and you can refer to me as BS, Bart's sidekick. Well, quite a show tonight, huh?
Oh, it's a fantastic show. And I don't think we should go to the mail anymore. We should go right to our guests, don't you think?
Why not? Sure. Mainly because there is no more mail.
That's right. There may be some more tomorrow. Please send them in. We'll try to answer them as best we can. My first guests tonight are charter members of the Fernwood Shakespeare Society, and they are also the only members, which is kind of interesting.
The Bard.
That's right. They were the first to bring Shakespeare to Fernwood.
They do something interesting, no?
They do, in fact. They found that they could give like a new life to the Shakespearean verse by adding music and dance to the Bard, as you put it. Please welcome Bob and Joanne Hurlick.
Wherefore art thou Romeo? Deny thy father and refuse thy name.
Call me but love, and I will be new baptized. Henceforth, I never will be Romeo.
'Tis almost morning, and I would have thee gone. And yet no farther than a wanton's bird.
I would that I were that bird.
Sweet, so would I.
Good night.
Good night.
Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say good night.
Good night. We'll be right back after this word. Please don't go away. Not even gonna bother. You know, I've always...
Shakespeare, that was great, wasn't it? The Shakespeare. Oh, you forgot already? The two that just came out and danced.
Oh, they were wonderful.
Yeah. Because the hardest part, as any actor will tell you about doing Shakespeare, is memorizing all those words.
Yeah.
And then to actually have to learn the steps, too.
Right.
But it's great for the audience because who knows what the actors are talking about. But you can just sit back and watch them dance. That's great.
Right. You know, I've always been a skeptic when it comes to faith healing. Now, I know that might offend some of you sincere believers who bow down in front of your TV sets on Sunday mornings, but you have to know who to trust. A friend of mine with a terrible spastic colitis condition went to this so-called faith healer and who worked out of a storefront and looked like a bum, to be honest, you know. And well, to make a long story short, not only did my friend not get rid of that condition, but he got a terrible case of psoriasis on his forehead. Just from wearing it on his hands. Man, it was a bum. Anyway, that's not to cast aspersions on all faith healers, that's for sure. Here with a new approach to faith healing is Mr. Nelson Phipps. Let's bring him. welcome to the show, Mr. Phipps. I understand you have a plan to offer miracle cures to a sick American public.
Yes, I have a plan to offer miracle cures to a sick American public. Now, you gentlemen probably know that the village of Lourdes over in France is the most sacredest, most holiest spot on the face of the earth. Do you know why that is? It's on account of that spring water that bubbles up that has those miraculous healing powers.
Sure.
Millions of people every year, they make pilgrimages there to Lourdes so they can bathe themselves in that holy water and cure themselves. I myself went over there and I was cured of my terminal halitosis.
Really? Which can not only kill you, but kill others. That's the problem.
That's right. And while I was there, this idea come to me. I had a vision. I heard voices, and the voices said to me, Nelson Phipps, and I said, yes. And they said, why don't you bring Lourdes to America? Why don't you provide a place where American people can have access to that actual Lourdes water in an environment where everybody talks perfect English?
Actual Lourdes water here in America.
Lourdes water here in America.
Wow.
I bought me the rights to pump out as much of that Lourdes water as I want, up to 500,000 acre-feet per annum.
Woo.
Every year.
That's quite a break for you, and especially, and all Americans, really, I think. Where will people be able to go and get this treatment with this water?
Well, people will be able to go and get this treatment with this water at my Lourdes West Healing and Amusement Centers. In fact, I will show this is a multicolor art rendering.
Yeah, now this isn't the real thing. This is something you're planning, and this is a multicolored art rendering.
That's right. It's done for me by a one-eyed Bulgarian boy who'd never had no lessons at all. Yes. Right. Now, you see, what I have always felt that healing should be fun.
Sure.
I mean, not just for the sick person, but there should be something for the family and friends.
Great. So here you're talking about rides and roller coasters?
I'm talking about rides and roller coasters. See, at that foreign, that's a depressing place. I mean, there's a bunch of sick people over there in a somber atmosphere, just splashing and splattering water on their infirmities.
Depressing in an amusement park.
Oh, we go over like a lead balloon, I think, over here.
Is that where they filmed Song of Bernadette over there?
I never heard of that.
It's not a song, it was a movie.
Oh.
You know, in listening to the doctor talk here, something dawned on me. He looks like Buffalo Bill, doesn't he?
That's never been mentioned to me.
That's great.
I wanted to tell you now, at my amusement parks, we're going to have a lot of fantastic rides. Mm-hmm. We're going to have one that's like a roller coaster. And you know what we're going to call it? We're going to call it the Holy Roller. Here is the multicolor art rendering.
Can we get in on this? Okay?
The multicolor art rendering of the Holy Roller. And you see what happens is it's a real steep incline. And you just go dive right straight down, splat into the water.
Oh, that's great.
And then, in addition, you've probably been to some of these theme parks where they have the boat ride.
No.
Well, I have.
Okay.
And what they do, the boat ride, see, the boat goes behind the waterfall. Now, in our boat ride, you're going to ride right smack dab into the holy water.
And gladly. Right.
And
There's got
then...
to be a good sport here, too, as well as being infirm.
Oh, yeah.
Terminally ill.
Good. That's right. See, a lot of invalids really are athletically inclined. And so that's why we have our All Saints Lagoon. Here is the multicolored art rendering.
Oh, boy.
And you see here, in the lagoon, you see there's going to be like water skiing, scuba diving, skinny dipping.
Absolutely. That's fantastic. So it's sort of like struggle in and dance and run out. That's great. Does the water... I mean, you probably get asked this 1,000 times. Does the water...
asked this 1,000 times.
1,001 coming up. Does the water actually heal people?
Are you asking me, does the water actually heal people?
I think what Barth is trying to say is, does the water actually heal people?
Let me say this about that.
Okay.
If I was a disabled person, I would be a fool not to try something that just could possibly heal my broken body.
Right.
Now, in my places, my healing parks, we're not going to have any fellas, with the $50 haircut and the $500 suit that run up and grab you by the forehead and say, heal!
Good, because people hate that.
That's why we're not going to do it.
My brother trained his dog that way. He just put his hand on him and he taught him to heel.
I'll tell you what we are going to offer, though, in my parks. We're going to offer the miraculous Lourdes water and a lot of Jim Dandy loop-de-loops.
I hate that, too. How do you intend to handle, this is going to happen, I know it is, it happens every time anything like this comes up. How are you going to handle those cranks, and I guess you'd have to call them spoil sports, who come there to get cured and complain like crazy if they're not cured?
Well, in that case, I mean, you're asking if somebody's to come and not get a complete cure? Well,
Right.
What we would do, we would give them a free coupon book. Now, that would entitle them to 3 free rides on our Holy Water Express choo-choo. And also they can pan for gold in our sacred stream. And a free refill in their holy water bed. That's just
great.
our way of saying have a ball on us.
That's it.
Now, in our new Lourdes Southwest that we're opening up, we're planning to say habla español.
Now, that's Spanish, isn't it? Are you going to be speaking Spanish also there?
Naturalmente.
So whether they're cured or not, they're in for a heck of a good time, it sounds like to me.
Or as good a time as they can have. Yeah.
Now, sometimes people say to me, do you have like a logo for your healing parks? Yes, I have a logo for my healing parks.
Oh,
And
that's
here it is
great.
in the multicolor art rendering, the sign of the silver crutches.
Okay. That spot goes anywhere. You could also have the golden fallen arches, couldn't you? That's great.
And what else we gonna do for all the little kiddies that come? We gonna give them one of our sacred squirt guns. Bang, bang, you're healed.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, good luck to you, Mr. Phipps, with this noble and I would say humanitarian venture, except it's not really. We'll be right back, okay? Well, we're back, and we have more guests. My next
But I
guest...
have a question. Tell me if I'm a little off the track asking this, but if I were to wake you up in the middle of the night, do you still talk this same way all the time?
Why would you wake me up in the middle of the night?
Jerry, why would you wake him up in the middle of the night?
Why would I wake him up in the middle of the night? Because, see, it's a wonderful speaking voice, but sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you say, where am I? But he would say, where am I? And it's very nice.
Great. I suppose you have all wondered where your tax money goes. The answer is simply, nobody knows. Didn't realize that rhymed that way, and here you have the poetic voice, you should have said it. But one area of federal spending that has caused considerable controversy is in the Secret Service. That's for darn sure. We ask ourselves these questions. Is it all necessary? Do we really need, that full-time security, round the clock, guarding not only our president, but our ex-presidents, their wives, and their families? I know how I feel. I don't know about you. But my next guests served for many years in our country's Secret Service. Would you please welcome Mr. Michael Curlin? You sat right down there without checking in or anything. I guess you know where you are. Mr. Curlin, it must have been very exciting, really, to guard our nation's presidents, wasn't it?
Well, I've met quite a few of the presidents, but I didn't get the chance to actually guard the presidents themselves. You see, I served with the Special First Lady Division of the Secret Service.
Oh, well, what's it like protecting, let's say, a Bess Truman, something like that?
Yes. Let me add that for the past 10 years, I had been assigned to guard her life. It was in my own hands, Miss Bess Truman.
It was Bess Truman.
Of course, yes, you're right.
Oh, that's incredible.
Sounds like there might be a little security leak here, huh?
Yeah. Actually, I just threw that out sort of as a joke because I figured guarding Bess Truman would be a pretty cushy job.
Oh, no. Let me tell you, it's a very tough assignment. I mean, as you know, the first ladies, as they get older, they become more and more easier targets. I mean, take Bess Truman now. She's 92 years old. Why,
wow.
Naturally, she's a slow-moving target.
slow-moving is she? I bet she's so slow-moving that when she crosses her legs, it takes 5 minutes. When she goes to scratch, she forgets where she itched.
Jerry?
Doesn't he look like Buffalo Bill? I can't go.
Have there been any real, I mean, you're guarding Bess Truman, guarding her life, really. Have there been any attempts?
No. You see, we do an absolutely thorough job, such a thorough job that nobody would even dare try. No, you see, for example, now we sort of like screen all of the workmen that come into the house, and we make sure that we check all deliveries. For instance, now if the delivery boy were to bring groceries to the house, well, we'd go through the fruits and vegetables to make sure that there are no needle marks. You know, we don't want to have Bess poisoned.
A sign of an injection or something like that.
True, yes. Now, especially her cantaloupe. Oh, she loves her cantaloupe. Easy to chew.
I can imagine a little poison would ruin her old breakfast. She'd fall head first into her mush. She'd go, help, I can't sit down.
Basically, that's one of the reasons why we try to maintain a complete guard on all sides of our First Lady. And it's with Bess that we've come up with this new system, which we call the undermanned system, where we try to have a man in the area underneath the First Lady at all times. Because, of course, you know...
Well, that's so many different areas, and what sort of places?
Well, for instance, now, there's, if she sits on her back porch, for instance,
okay,
we have a man underneath it. When she goes to bed at night, we have a man underneath the bed. Supposing she were to feel like taking a little drive through the park, well, we have a man underneath the back seat of that car. You see, one of the main things that we want to do is we want to make sure that our First Lady is sitting on one of our agents at all times.
Well, these are fascinating stories, Mr. Curlin, and they're all in your book here about our First Ladies here. Forgotten but not gone. All these stories are in here and even more. This is terrific. I'm sure that all the taxpayers will feel a lot better now knowing how their money is being spent because, well, now you won't feel so guilty when you cheat on your tax forms, okay? Right? Okay. You want me to repeat that? To thank Buffalo Bill or Buffalo Bob, or what did you call him?
I have a pair of trousers with a hole in the back. Could I dip them in some of that magic water and have miracle weed? Yeah. Who knows? It might open a whole new industry there.
Well, Mr. Phipps, best of luck with your Lord's West. We saw that earlier. Thank you for letting us see your book, Jerry.
With this book and have it heal together. Yeah, thank you.
That's great. Happy time, birthday takers. That's it. We're out of time. Good night, folks.
Also appearing on tonight's show were Frank Coppola as Bob Hurlick, Sandra Lowell as Joanne Hurlick, Robert Easton as Nelson Phipps, and Dave Mork as Michael Curlin.
This one just made me feel a little bit giddy the whole way through. Like, from the beginning to the end, I feel like this has been the most variety we've seen in the acts, and every one of them seemed to be a bit sharper, I think, than some of the episodes we've seen. We start with Barth answering letters from the home viewers, but without the ability to read them. You know, they got that note that said, please don't read this on the air. And that's a funny little bit. Like, Barth is certainly playing up that letter from, I forget the name of the young lady who wrote it, reading it in a suggestive way, and then Jerry forgets that he's not supposed to read that letter, or I think Barth suggested that he chose not to read that letter. But it turns out the question was, when was the first time you rode a bicycle and how did you feel? And it's the identical answer to Barth without even thinking about it. Well, that's just silly. Then we bring out Bob and Joanne Hurlick, the apparent only members of the Shakespeare Society of Fernwood. I don't remember the exact name of the group. As a fan of Shakespeare, I was looking forward to that. And as a fan of dance, I also was looking forward to that. I actually believe adding music and some dance to Shakespeare could be good for productions, you know, like I think it's a good idea to include music in this kind of a show. Maybe not this specific combination, though I did enjoy exactly how incongruous that match felt. And then our second guest, Nelson Phipps, Mr. Nelson Phipps, and they introduce him talking about faith healing. I think that was maybe a bit of a buzzword in the 1970s. I'm not exactly sure. He certainly comes out looking, to me, not like Buffalo Bill, but, you know, I was reminded of Colonel Sanders, Harlan Sanders, that's the guy. That's who I thought of, but that's not really what this is. It's Lourdes West, all of that healing water of the sanctuary in Lourdes in France, which is, you know, pretty well known. Harlan has gotten really a large amount of that water every year, and I was really reminded of, for me, the Creation Museum and other Christian-styled theme parks that have come up over the decades. I know it's being played for laughs, but the fact that we actually get attractions like this in America is a statement about America that can be made. And then finally we bring out Secret Service agent Michael Curlin, who has been serving for a decade. I wasn't sure where this was going exactly, but apparently he has been guarding Bess Truman, who was 92 years old at the time. Truman was president during World War II, which was, I think, about 30 years before this episode. Not exactly 30 years, but he was certainly not a public figure that a lot of people would have been attacking politically. Like, certainly he wasn't necessarily pertinent at this point based on the fact of his age and distance from the thing. But, I mean, he's still a president, right? Like, of course, their family still gets Secret Service. And in this case, the service is having a Secret Service agent under you at all times, at least for First Lady Bess Truman. And that's pretty much all there is to this episode, but I just had the best time watching it. So, you know, that's where we are. That's how we're starting this final week of Fernwood Tonight. Next week, hey, it's the beginning of dating myself, and that's when I will start watching MASH and Gatchaman. I'm not sure if I'll be watching other things, but if you want to have a say in that, maybe check out the Patreon, which I mentioned earlier today. That's a way you can communicate with me. I know people have made suggestions in the comments, but certainly nice to get support with those suggestions. Anyway, thank you so much for watching with me. Thank you so much for leaving your thoughts, feelings, and impressions in the comments. Thank you to my top-tier Patreon supporters, because you've been with me for a while. We will see you tomorrow night in Fernwood.